What's up, guys? This is Chad at All Dogs Off-Road. It's been a little while since you've seen me, but today we are picking up on a project that we started about 2 months ago and kind of ran into a blocker. So we need to do some inner and outer tie rods on Reba. She's definitely got a bad inner on the passenger side, and since we're going to be in it, we're going to do everything all at once. When you have bad tie rods, typically you start to have a little bit of play in the steering wheel, and you might get a little bit of wandering when you're driving. If you were to be checking your tie rods, what you do is you would jack the front of the vehicle up, grab your tire, and then you'd shimmy it at your 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. And if you've got some play there, typically that means you've got a bad inner or outer tie rod, and we definitely have a lot of play on the passenger side on this one. Because it's going to need an alignment, we're just going to throw all new inners and outers on both sides, just get it all done. It's been a while since you've been Reba, and a bunch of you guys have been making some requests, so we've got this video, and we've got a couple others here that'll be coming soon. We've got some headers for Reba, that we've been sitting on from Cajun B pipes, and then we also have some skid plates from Dash Off-Road, which we got through Campsite 204. So you'll see some Reba content here coming soon on top of this video, which we're always excited about because we love Reba. But come on, let's get to wrenching. So you'll see we've already got the coilover stripped from Reba. We were doing some custom valving with the Fox shocks that we run on it. So those are out and on the bench right now. You don't need to pull your coilover to do what we're doing. It's just we happen to be doing two different things at the same time. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. All you're going to do is disconnect your nut for your outer tie rod. You're going to separate your tie rod. You're going to turn your steering wheel to bring your steering shaft out here to give you room to work with the boot, because you are going to be reusing the boot. We use Moog inner and outer tie rods for most OE replacement stuff, along with Moog lower control arms. They seem to hold up really well for us. We haven't had any issues with them, so we kind of stick to that brand when we're doing OE replacement stuff. But pretty basic. We're going to knock, drop out. We're not going to mess with the length here because we're going to use that to measure to get this get the replacement as close as we can. And when you do something like this, you will need to get an alignment after the fact, but we're still going to try and get it, you know, as close as we can before we take it over for alignment. Your outer tie rod can be difficult to separate sometimes. If you strike on the knuckle with a hammer a little bit, that'll get some vibrations, kind of help loosen things up. So you whack, 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 and sometimes you come down with a single strike right here and pop everything out. Now we're not going to worry about saving the threads because we're replacing these, but if you were just, say, disconnecting to change a coilover out or something like that, you would want to be really careful not to hurt your threads. And that's definitely bad. That's got a lot of play in it. The inner feels decent on this side though. The outer definitely is due for replacement. So now that you got that separated, you're going to want to turn your steering wheel to give you better access. So we're going to do that here. Now there's some fun stuff you get to do here. The first is you've got a little spring clamp that holds your boot. You'll want to pop that off. And then typically there's going to be a metal spring clamp back, or it's almost like a metal zip tie. Usually you use a screwdriver, a flathead, you can pry that and open it up, and then you'll be able to pull the boot off, and that'll expose the end of your inner tie rod, and then from there you'll be able to unthread it. So that's what we're going to do. So that's our metal clamp right there that we're going to knock loose. There she goes. Bye-bye. And so now we've got our inner tie rod exposed right here. So we'll use a wrench, or There are inner tie rod tools that you can use that make this easier. We don't have one in the shop. This is in an unfortunate position. So we're in a bad position to be able to get a crescent wrench on the machined flat surfaces of the inner tie rod. So Jaden actually happened to have a tie rod tool, so we're going to give that a try. Yay!
You did it, Jaden.
Good job, Jaden. It helps to have the right tool. There she is. So now that we have our inner and outer out, we're going to take a measurement essentially from our flat portion here, probably to like the center of the ball joint. And maybe we'll do it from this side here. So center to flat to center. And then we will disassemble this. It looks like we need to transfer the lock nut over because it wasn't included with the move parts. And then we'll transfer the boot over and then we'll slap it all back in. 16 and 7/8. Now to get the boot off, we'll have to separate, and usually you'll need to use a little bit of heat for that. So we're gonna chuck it up in the vise and get it toasty and do our disassembly. Maybe we don't have to get it toasty. She bad.
No toast needed.
We didn't have to heat it up. Yay! Okay, so now we'll be able to strip our boot and our clamp and reuse it. If you didn't want to do that, you could just buy replacements, but we didn't. I don't know where I am. Okay. So I was mistaken previously. The inner tie rods did come with jam nuts or lock nuts, whatever you want to call them. But I like the factory ones because they're bigger, so we're just going to use those. So now we'll get everything kind of put together. Get your boot in place. Get your clamp in place. Run your jam nut down. And then you'll take your outer tie rod and make sure that you're on the Moogs, they're stamped, so L for left, and driver's side is your left-hand side. So get everything. Come on. Don't feel me struggling. JK. Whatever. So we were at 16 and 7/8. We'll try and replicate that as best we can. I'm struggling a little bit with the boot. I probably shouldn't have seated it all the way. And we're almost there. Whatever. And then you're going to be ready to thread your inner back on. There's Loctite already on the threads, so you should just be able to install it. There we go. Good grief. Double check our measurement. Struggling. That'll do it. So now we will thread our inner on. And it's a fine thread, so it can be hard to catch. So once you're threaded on, go ahead and get everything loosely in place. Now you saw probably I did have to disconnect and rotate, but the jam nut stayed where it's at. So what you can do is use a small wrench and then bring everything back in. Oh man. There we go. She tight. Rolling. Okay. So we got our inner tight. We've got our outer loosely in place. We did rotate a little bit, judging by the jam nut, so we will fix that here in a minute, but we're gonna get our boot back in place. So you push it back until it snaps, and then you've got a hose clamp right here that you're gonna run and snap down. Okay. And then what we'll do is kind of at the end, after we do the other side, we'll rotate the wheel left and right, because you'll see right now we're kind of a ways away from being able to get the boot clamped onto the steering rack, and we're a little bit of a hack job shop because we're just going to use zip ties. They seem to work fine for us, but once we're done with the other side, we'll rotate the steering wheel left and right and then get those both zip tied. And then we will torque our outer tie rod here. And then these are greasable, so there's a grease zerk that we'll also install. But we're essentially, aside from the boot and then torquing this nut here, this side is done. Michael, you should have been recording. All right, now we're gonna rinse and repeat. So outer tie rod nut, come off, break it loose, pull the boot, pull the inner tie rod, and let's go. She Lucy. Both of them are. Now that we have the right tool, let's do it the right way. Forgot to measure. 17 1/4. For comparison's sake. All right. Toy. Sheesh. Okay, so we've got our inner tight, we've got our length where we want it, and now we're just gonna get our outer put back in place. Yep, so now we'll do our zip ties for our boots. We'll go to the other side first because we got it steered toward passenger. So we'll do the driver's side first, then we'll rotate the wheel, and then do this side, and then we'll torque our outers, and then she'll be ready for alignment. Okay, so there are some lips on your steering rack. So you'll want to make sure that you're snapped over that, and then you can go ahead and use a zip tie, or if you're going to use your steel clamps, you can do that too. We're not that fancy. Oh, I'm so fancy. You already know.
Demonetized.
We got the zip ties, and we're ready to go. Uh-oh. They can demonetize D's nuts, Michael. Don't edit that. Boots are secured. Okay, now what?
And that's how you do that.
That's how you do that. Michael is scripting me, and he said, and now that's how you do that. But we're all done. Inners are tight, outers are torqued. We're just gonna put our coilovers back together, throw them on, maybe take it for a quick test drive, and then we'll schedule an alignment, and that's it. Now, inner and outer tie rods are, pretty universal. You could take essentially the same method and apply it to Frontiers, Xteras, Titans. It's all going to be fairly similar for the most part. It's an easy job. It definitely helps to have the right tool. So that tie rod removal tool that Jaden had, that little guy, that was my first time using one. I've only ever really used a pipe wrench, which we don't have in the shop right now, and we must have it at one of our houses. But that made things really easy, and now Reba should drive like a laser beam down the road. Again, we got more videos coming for Reba, and we got more other videos too, Tacoma stuff, Frontier stuff. So stick around, enjoy the videos, like, subscribe, and comment, and thanks for watching.